Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas, and in this video, I just wanted to talk Faizon Brandon, man. It was announced a few days ago that as a true freshman, he is going to be the starting quarterback for Tennessee Vols, the first first true freshman to be a starter there in Knoxville ever. But what's amazing is that you look at him, you would think he's a junior, right? 6'4", 225 coming in from Greensboro, North Carolina, so physically he's already there. Right, Heupel, Tennessee's fans, they're not going to be looking at Faizon Brandon saying, "Wow, like this guy clearly is a true freshman. You know, look how small he looks out there. Can he even see over the line? If he gets hit, he can get hurt immediately." He's already ready. I mean, he has got plenty of size, which is really good because you hear raving about his legs, right, and his ultimate ability. So when Brandon's taking off running, you don't really have to be scared about when he gets hit. A lot of true freshmen, especially at quarterback, right? They just need to put on 10 or 15 more pounds of muscle. You know, they'll probably just keep growing. Brandon's already there. At 6'4", 225, man, he's already got really good size. And I don't really need to talk too much about his recruiting profile, right? I mean, he was one of the top players in last year's recruiting cycle. I believe he was the top quarterback. If not, he was number 2. I think it was him and Jared Curtis based on whichever site you looked at. But, I mean, landing him was such a big recruitment win for Heupel. And you heard him talk about it earlier today, I think it was, Faizon Brandon, just about how he went pedal to the metal really since spring. You know, I mean, he never left Knoxville over the summer. He was working because when Joey Aguilar officially was not coming back, remember, he had that eligibility battle himself last year. That's when he really knew that that QB1 spot was up for grabs. Because he wouldn't have come in and taken the job from Aguilar so Joey could sit for his last year of college, right? When Aguilar was gone and it was Faizon versus George McIntyre, you know, he saw red and he was ready to go. And he showed that with his work ethic. He showed that with how much he improved just at, being a quarterback at the college level. Because that's the other thing you're worried about with freshman quarterbacks is, are they ready to really elevate their game? Can it translate up to this higher level of the sport? And it seems like Brandon's going to. And another reason that I'm so excited about Faizon getting the nod here for the Vols is because I've long held this, right, this offseason, about how my prediction for Tennessee this year is relatively modest, right, even with Brandon. But I do believe that 2027 could be a year where we look at Tennessee and say, this team could go win the SEC, just roster-wise. Because year one of Jim Knowles as your DC, it always takes a little bit normally for Jim Knowles' defense to really round to form. And this year, especially with Chaz Coleman leaving, I think late in the spring, right? A bunch of injuries, but mainly Edris Farouk there at safety on defense. It will be improved from last season, their defense will. I'm not sure it'll be playoff caliber. But then back to Faizon here, I'm already more confident about Tennessee in 2027, knowing that he'll just have this year of experience. Right? Because if he was going the next year, maybe with no experience as their starting quarterback, I have maybe a little more pause in terms of how excited I'm willing to be about Tennessee. And also, if McIntyre won the battle this year, he probably would have won it again next year. Maybe Brandon isn't even at Tennessee next year. So I think giving him the job this year, A, it probably keeps him in Knoxville. And B, when we look forward to next season, I kind of hate saying already looking forward to 2027 with how much potential they have in 26, but just he'll have a year under his belt. Right, and regardless of how good Faizon is going to be and how good everyone thinks he can be, I think he can be awesome. True freshman quarterbacks are true freshman quarterbacks. Right, like there are going to be times where there's probably just a head-scratching play. Or maybe in one of the early road games Tennessee has, he just looks a little bit overwhelmed by the environment. And that's totally fine. That's to be expected. He's a true freshman. Right, guy was just in high school last season. Now he's playing in the best conference in college football in front of some of the biggest stadiums. Like, you're going to have those lumps, you're going to have those bumps. But the Vols offense is a great place for him to succeed. Right, just Josh Heupel schemes. I mean, when's the last quarterback in a Josh Heupel scheme that you really saw look helpless? Right, I mean, Nico Iamaleava, I forgot to say his name because it's been so long. But Nico had his moments. Once again, like, young guy. So he had those lumps. Was that more youth or was that just his own talent? I think we'll get a pretty good idea of that, honestly, this year with UCLA. But it's such a good scheme for Faizon to be into, right, as a true freshman. I think it's going to be a really good running game behind him, right? You have Deshaun Bishop there, also guys like Javin Gordon, and that offensive line looks just massive. So I really do believe that Brandon's in such a good spot offensively. I forget who it was. Someone was on CBS Sports Network this morning, kind of echoing that same sentiment of just he's in such a good situation. Because that receiver room for the Vols, disgusting, right? Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, TK Keys, another true freshman who came in with Faizon Brandon. This Vols offense can be really good. If everything clicks, right, and you see these young guys play beyond their years, This offense can be top three in the SEC, no doubt. And even if they aren't there at the beginning of the year, I think by the end, if you take like a 4 or 5 week sample of the last few weeks of the year, the Vols will have one of the best offenses in the SEC, maybe even the entire country. When it comes to their season outlook, I do worry a little bit about their defense, and I worry just a little bit about, being a true freshman quarterback. But Brandon's ceiling is unlimited. And another note here just about Brandon getting this job, and it happening so close to Keelan Russell being named the starter of Alabama. I mean, Tennessee and Alabama play an elite rivalry every single year, regardless. Right, third Saturday in October, one of the biggest rivalries in the entire sport. The energy is always electric. Now you have two quarterbacks who are coming in at the exact same time. Right, Keelan's been there for an extra year, but he hasn't been a starter yet. They're both getting the starting job at the exact same time, with tons of years of eligibility left. You're going to see these guys go at it for 3, maybe 4 years. I just consistently back and forth to 5-star guys who are dual threat talents at places that will always have good talent around them. If you told me that the over-under on Heisman's for those two guys was 1.5, I'd have a pretty strong lean towards the over. Both these guys have that ceiling. Both these guys have that ceiling. I tweeted it out this afternoon. Just if you had to pick, if I gave you $50 of free money to put on either Faizon Brandon or Keelan Russell to win a Heisman during their career, who would you pick? I don't think there's a wrong answer. I really don't. So having Brandon get this job too at the same time as Keelan Russell, that Tennessee versus Bama rivalry just got even cooler. Really, it's because of how we're going to be able to see these quarterbacks grow, and they'll be used as a measuring stick for each other, right? Getting the job at the same time, playing each other all the time, being in the same conference. I'm getting so fired up just thinking about it. But Faizon Brandon getting the job for Tennessee, I think it's a real good sign for what he already is as a true freshman, especially physically. I'm very excited for him this season. But once again, I think this will be a year where it's mostly good, where it'll be mostly good for Tennessee, for Brandon. You're going to see freshman lumps. You're going to see those bumps. There are going to be a couple of head scratchers. But, man, I'm really excited for what he can be in Knoxville. I really am, especially with Josh Heupel as his head coach. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. If you want more college football content, SEC stuff every single day throughout the entire season, subscribe to me here. Follow me on Twitter. Check out A Peek Inside SEC Football. I do that with Ali Peek and TJ Pittenger live every Monday morning. Content every single day. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I've been Will Thomas, and I will see you next time.